Hey guys, and welcome back to Planetside 2, and today I am going to be going over the NS Operatives, the new-ish fourth faction here in Planetside 2, and just going over my general thoughts of this faction. Do I like playing it? Where do I think it needs to improve? That sort of thing. So I've played the faction a little bit, not tons, but I've played it enough to have a general feel for how it is going. And basically, they added in a fourth faction to the game, which are robots. And the thing about this faction is that it assigns you to the least populated faction in an attempt to help balance the game. My immediate thing that I noticed, of course, is the fact that there's a lot of things you don't have access to as an NS operative. There's a very limited selection of weapons that you can use. There's no max class you can use. There's no, the main battle tanks are not available, but what you get are the NS systems weapons. The NS, 7PDW, the MKV Suppressed, the Baron, the Naginata, the NS-15M, which is a good one. The Tengu 15M2, the Tanto, the NS-11C. So if we go over like the actual weapons that are sort of maybe in a good tier versus the Empire-specific weapons, because obviously you do have access in terms of the sidearms to the Underboss and the Commissioner. So those are both two that are considered to be top-tier sidearms. So that is a plus for this faction. But as far as like meta heavy assault weapons, you pretty much have the NS-15M, and that's like that. Luckily, that is a weapon that actually does hold up somewhat reasonably well against the Empire-specific meta heavy assault weapons. So you're not totally in bad shape there. Then, for the combat medic, you do get the NS-11A, and that's one I've used a fair bit, but like your options outside of some of these are fairly limited. My main issue with this faction right off the bat is that I feel like there isn't that much, there isn't much variety in terms of where to go with like meta weapons for certain classes. With the Empire-specific stuff, there's usually not a lot, but there's usually other weapons that you can choose that are still pretty decent. But for this, I feel like there's a pretty big fall off between the NS-15M, the NS-11A, because with the NS weapons, you look through them here, and like half of them are literally these special variants. I would prefer that there's another sniper. There's literally one sniper rifle for the NS operatives, and that is it. There's literally one sniper rifle. The other ones are scout rifles. There's one sniper. I'm sure a lot of the issues with this faction have already been documented, and I know that they're working to try and work on this faction some more. The camo, they just released the Astral camo for this faction. Actually, I think looks maybe the best of any faction, especially on the weapons by far. This is like the best for this faction, and I think there's a lot of really cool things they can do with this faction. Don't get me wrong, I'm really glad they added this faction into the game, and I think it's a very good thing they added it, and it's generated a lot of positive attention. But there's certain things about it that I'm kind of just like, well, what is the advantage of this over just playing on my normal alt, my different alts on different factions? Because some people might say, well, it's to balance the game. Like, I get that, but at the same time, I can easily just look and see which faction is the least populated and just hop on my alt for that faction and have the full collection of weapons and other things to play with and still be helping to reduce overpop. You know what I mean? Most veteran, like real veteran players, I think, do have alts on the other factions. I mean, one of the bonuses of the NS Operatives is supposed to also be that you skip the queues, but with membership, I have not had to wait more than a couple minutes, like almost at all, ever. Part of the thing that keeps me coming back to this game is the ability to have different play styles. And I feel like NS Operatives just really limits the playstyles that I can do to some extent. And not really, because you still have implants, you still have all these other things. Of course, again, a new faction is annoying from an implant standpoint as well, because trying to get all the implants again is really annoying. The fact that it only lets you wear non-faction specific camos. But again, it would be really nice if they would add more camos that are unique to this faction. Obviously, the Astral Camo, despite the fact that they released it across all the factions, it is actually I guess, isn't it technically the first unique camo specific to the NS Operatives faction, since it's technically a different color scheme than the other factions got. And again, it's really, really nice looking, actually. So I guess they do have one unique thing there, but I'd appreciate it if they got more unique camos, because their camo selection is also really sparse. But I guess I do also understand, you know, for them to produce the camos, they have to have enough people playing NS Operatives to actually buy the camos and to make them worthwhile. But yeah, it is what it is sometimes. At least if they just do what they did here and just make it so that the camo, you know, the camo has like a different look for the NS Operatives. I definitely did appreciate that, and I think it's very cool. So I think this faction, again, was a great addition to the game, has really done a lot of good things in terms of generating publicity for the game, and even giving veterans like a new challenge to really mess with. But I do think there's definitely some things that they could really improve upon that would just add sort of a unique element to this faction. And I think right now it really needs sort of like, I don't know, I mean, it has some unique incentives to play, but I think at the same time, you know, as a veteran player with alts on all three, you know, previous factions, I like to play with a lot more weapon styles than just, you know, a couple of weapons that are actually decent. So that's kind of how I feel about it, is that great idea here, but I think it needs a little bit more work in order to make it something that's really a compelling faction to play on a daily basis. Considering the fact that it's free to make a character on the NS Operatives if you're a member, I mean, unless you have all your character slots full or something, like, you really have nothing to lose by making an account on a character on this faction as a member. So yeah, there's really no reason not to play this faction if you're a member, because you may as well just see whether or not you like it. There are certain things about it that, you know, you might really kind of like, but for the most part, I feel like it seems like the faction's kind of designed as like a challenge. But I don't know, for me, for some reason, that just doesn't quite do it, because I'm, you know, I mostly play to have fun, but, you know, if I'm going to have a challenge, I'd like to have some sort of like worthwhile reward, other than, again, just balancing the faction, which I can already do myself with my selection of alts, and skipping the queue, considering I don't even have a queue most of the time as a member anyway. Here's another thing, though. It does appear that the NS Operatives have their own directives, with a lot of their own directive rewards, including, I think, unique weapons here, unique NS weapons, as some of the directive Araxium rewards. So that definitely could be something that could entice a lot of people right there. Just the idea of trying out new sorts of weapons and such. But again, I really, really feel like if they could add some more weapons to this faction, it would really add to a lot of the appeal here. I do feel like maybe that's sort of a petty thing to complain about, but I do feel like a lot of the faction's content at the moment feels kind of thin, but I do think the directives are a big step in the right direction there, that they have those at least being somewhat unique to this faction, so that may definitely be a reason you would want to play this faction. And I think it's a pretty good reason, because a lot of people love doing directives, especially for directive rewards. So that is going to complete my current review through the new relatively new NS Operatives 4th faction here in Planetside 2. I had some, you know, stuff that I thought was good, and some stuff that I thought could use some work. And overall, again, if you're a member already, you don't really have anything to lose by playing this faction to see if you like it. If you're not a member, you know, it's one more thing that definitely would be worth the membership. And I think the membership in general is definitely worth it if you're a newer player, or if you play a lot, it's definitely worth it too, because you're maximizing the amount of progress and, you know, certs that you're getting for the amount of time that you're playing. So I definitely think it's worth considering for sure. So anyways, leave a like if you enjoyed. Let me know your thought in the comments about this video and what other types of content I should create. Maybe subscribe if you're new to my channel. And thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned for more videos.